Okay.
Hi,
So, okay.
it's Michelle. I got a call from Russell Hatton, who wants me to chime him in. I'm going to try to get.
And Michelle, the group just decided that so the commissioner just emailed, actually the representative just emailed asking that we not have clients on the call. So
Okay.
you actually might tell Russ that and make sure that that's okay with him.
Okay. Is it okay with
It's okay with Daniel. Yeah.
Aaron? Dan, it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'll let him know.
I think Russell was probably, I'm guessing, talking to you about Puffer and Mosier, which is I think you might be able to ITV with us for that. But as far as this goes, I'd say we push forward and you guys represent us, you know, and see what you can do as far as that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you know what you know the issues, you know, and I'm comfortable with that. I understand their concern. So if you guys are willing to do that, let's go forward.
I think
Let's do it.
and we got a lot to do for the next hour and a half. Do you want to call me at 7:30, 8 o'clock, something like that?
Yeah, I will. Hurry, I'm hungry.
We will
Me
do
too.
buddy
Tom
Hagen.
too.
All right,
Yeah,
guys,
Ben.
guys so much. And Michelle, I'm going to call you tomorrow.
I think she's on the phone right now.
How is everybody doing? How are all the hunger strikers doing?
Oh, sorry.
It's crazy. I've lost like, I don't know, about 12 pounds, I think. And
They say he looks like
I
a
don't know,
zombie.
chest pains, headaches, shaky, all that. It's pretty serious, actually.
You told your mom 7 pounds.
Are they checking your vitals at all?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but I'm okay, you know,
Hunger strikers?
a little longer than me.
Some of the hunger strikers?
I don't think so.
Well, it sounds like it.
Maybe so.
Okay, so I do have Russell on the phone, and he's okay with whatever, happens. So I said I'd keep him on until.
They don't come on. Oh, until
yeah.
they come on.
Yeah, until they come on. What I'm going to do, just so you know, is I'm going to just have my picture up here. I'm not going to say a word. I'm just going to be listening, okay? 'Cause I have-
So if we
I'm
get
just a
anybody
fly
on the
wall.
phone,
One other thing, sorry. Leo Feeney,
Yes,
did you invite another legislator to the call?
yes.
Okay, they're asking that person not be on the call. Are they actually coming? Do you know? Yes.
Okay.
Should do that right now.
so they know who's on the phones. They screen the phones. So if we've got anybody on the phone, we need to get them off the phone so they'll come on to this call.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it now.
When are they planning on coming on?
So I just
Wow.
emailed.
6 or 6:30?
I just confirmed that no
Right,
other
I'm,
folks were on the call,
think
so
I'm
we'll
ready to
see.
go. Let's
Okay, so I'm going to have to hang up, Russell.
Call you around 7:30.
Say
Okay.
a prayer. Bye-bye.
Talk to you then. Bye bye.
And where's
Ruby, do you know what's going on?
No, I'm lucky I got here on time.
Ruby?
So nobody, the strikers cannot be on this call with us,
Interesting.
or they will not attend. So David's negotiating with them right now.
What's the
So they said they're
logic
coming
behind
now.
that?
They didn't give us the logic.
We're thinking legal reasons. That's our guess.
No idea.
No idea. And if
And
we're not talking, we should be muted. Just
Yeah.
as a
Yeah. If
point
everyone
of
wants to
reference.
mute yourself if you're not welcome. Is the commissioner coming on too now?
Yes, she is.
Okay, great. Yeah, sorry we didn't see your email about that, so it was kind of a last minute thing on our part.
So I see you have the media here too. I mean, was that part of what we were gonna do?
Is that not okay?
Well, I thought that this was a conversation between you and me. I didn't think it was a public conversation. So, I mean, I'm certainly happy to sit here and listen to what you have to say, but, you know, this is not going to be a conversation. I don't know. I expect the commission will be on shortly.
Okay, maybe we can discuss that when they come on. I don't know what other people think. Again, you're just dropping a lot of things on us at the last minute here, so.
Well, you know, we talked about having a conversation. We didn't talk about having a public forum.
Yeah, well, it's definitely not a public forum.
Well, when the media's here, I'm sorry, it is.
Okay, well, yeah, let's, yeah, I guess we can see how the commissioner, are you saying that you're not comfortable talking with?
Well,
someone?
it's fine. I mean, I would never kick out the press, but it's a different, it's not the same conversation. So just be aware.
Why would the conversation be different?
Well, I'm not going to explain that. Sorry, it just is.
No, I'd really like to know. I'm trying to understand you.
Okay, well, that's not what I'm here to talk about.
Who is on that is press? I didn't realize we had press on.
Yeah, you have somebody here from the Star Tribune.
Well, can we ask them to leave?
You can, it's not up to me.
Because I think this conversation is important. It is to me.
Yeah, but this is Leo Feeney again. I agree with Representative Lieberling. She's here to get the thoughts of some of us, and she's not here to speak to the press. And so I would be in favor that the press not attend. I think the meeting's more important.
I don't object to that. Does anyone have an objection to that point of view?
I do not.
No.
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 Well, then I guess.
David, hey, it's Chris from the Star Tribune. Given that I was invited by the group and I'm happy to sign off. No worries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris.
You bet. Have a good discussion. Bye.
Thanks. Yeah, so, yeah, maybe we can communicate more about meeting what makes us comfortable sooner next time. I know this was a rush meeting, so we're dealing with what we're dealing with. Myself and welcome, Representative, welcome, Commissioner. Thank you for being here. We'll do introductions in a second so everybody else can introduce themselves. Myself and Ruby are facilitating here. Is Ruby here? Did she just pop out? Okay, well, she'll come back in a second. Oh, no, there she is.
I'm here.
Yeah. Good. And so we're just gonna I'm gonna quick do the welcome, talk about the goals and ground rules and plan for our time together. Then we're gonna do introductions. Then we're gonna talk about the needs that the hunger strikers are bringing, talk about that, and then hopefully get to closing. Just to stay that right up front, what we've heard from the hunger strikers is that to end the strike, they need a regular biweekly or monthly meeting to include clients, our coalition, and decision makers to together create a plan for a clear path home over some number of months. They understand that there's a lot going on with this facility and that there's lots of complicated pieces, and they feel like having a regular meeting is a way of doing that, and doing that with all the key people, the people on the inside, the coalition on the outside, and then decision makers. As for ground rules, we had an extensive meeting last night and set an agenda, so we want to stick to it. So folks who are not being asked to speak, please don't speak unless there's a very, very urgent need to do so. Yeah, we appreciate you all being here though. And it's, this is a really important conversation and very, very personal and emotional for pretty much every single person here. So want to acknowledge that and share that. Also, Representative Liebling has said that that she's willing to inquire about specifics that come up in the facility if people want to contact her after. So at the end of that meeting, at the end of this meeting, if we can make sure we have contact information where people can do those types of communications, that should be good. So let's get ourselves started off.
Could, David, could I just correct that a little bit? Because that wasn't exactly what I offered.
Okay.
Because honestly, I'm a really, really busy person. And if I start getting, and I know a lot of you already are emailing me, I just can't handle getting 25 emails from people. What I had asked you to do, and maybe you could do it afterwards, is to compile a list of questions with, specifics, or, compile it somehow and then send it to me so that I can communicate that to the people who can possibly answer. I mean, I'd be happy to try to facilitate that.
Okay.
And probably the commissioner would too. I don't want to speak for her, but please don't send me 25 emails because I won't be able to answer them. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying. And yeah, we are in compiling mode now. So I think that's definitely something that can be done. So just to start with introductions, if people want to say their name, their connection to MSOP, and the length of time their person's been in there. And then we'll pass it to the decision makers to briefly introduce themselves. Ruby, do you want to start?
Sure. My name is Ruby Brewer. I am a previous employee of MSOP. I worked there for almost 4 years. So I have quite a bit of experience with the treatment program and the administration. So I'll pass to David.
My name is David. I've met a number of key people in MSOP through the work we do in part of the group called Decarcerate Minnesota and IWOC. And I will pass to Sarah B.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I have a brother who is in MSOP Moose Lake, and he's been there for 10 years now, and with no end in sight. So that's why I'm here.
Who do you want to pass it to, Sarah?
Ben.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ben Otto. My cousin Daniel Wilson is an MSOP. He has been in there for 4 years, and I am here to help facilitate his clear path home. I will pass to Mary.
Hi, my name is Mary Shaw, and I'm Dan Wilson's mother. Like Ben said, of course, you know how long he's been there. I've done a lot of research. I want my son home. This is crazy.
Want to pass to Mary?
I'll pass to Carol, or Cheryl, I'm sorry.
Yes. Hi, I'm Cheryl Weber Bradford, and I have a son that's been in MSOP for 12 years. And I want an end to this. I want him home. And I'll pass to Tiffany.
My name is Tiffany Minkle. I have a brother that's at MSOP. He's been there for 15 years now. I will pass to Philip.
Hi, my name is Philip. I'm with Decarcerate Minnesota. Big part of this is a learning curve for me, and I'll be mostly listening, but I might ask a question or two if I'm urged to do so. And I'll pass it to Father Harry.
My name is Father Harry Hardigan. I'm with the Catholic Apostolic Church in North America. I have been a support person for the last 7 to 8 years with people both at MSOP and at St. Peter, and I was banished about 1.5 years ago. And I will pass it to, is Tiffany gone?
Very school.
Who else? Michelle.
Michelle McDonald. I am founder of Family Innocence. It's a nonprofit dedicated to keeping families out of court and resolving conflicts and injustices peacefully. I was contacted by Mary's son, and he has a group called Oceans, which is stands for Overcoming Corruption, Empowering All Nations. He is one of the men that are on the strike. And I'm also, I teach restorative circles. We have a 46-hour class, and I got in touch with Cheryl Bradford, who took the class, that made her a certified restorative mediator, and her son is at MSOP. So I came at it from both of those angles.
Thanks, Michelle. Who do you want to pass it to?
Let's see. We already have Philip, Tiffany. Did Mary go?
Yeah.
Okay. So I can't tell on my screen.
That's fine. I'll pass it to Kim.
Kim?
Hi, my name is Kimberly Jacobs. My husband is there in Moose Lake. He has been there for going on 3 years now. He's been gone since 2014 was when he was arrested. So he's been gone a few years. I would definitely like to have him home. There's lots of things he could help with. He's got medical conditions that I could help him with. I've got medical conditions that he could help me with, as well as his mom is living with me so that we can take care of each other. We've got some land that we need to get our trailer moved up on, which he could help us with also. I guess that's pretty much my story. I need him home for my family. Thank you.
Do we pass it to Leo and Jeannie? You're muted. Hey, Leo, you're muted.
Can you hear now?
Can you hear me now? My name is Leo Feeney. My son is at Moose Lake, and I'm here to help in any way I can. I just want to say one quick. My wife and I apologize. We were trespassers at your home this Sunday. We're private people. We really didn't want to be there, and it was tense for us. But I have to say this, when your husband came to the door and he swung that door open and said, "Hi there, welcome," that was such an icebreaker. It was so nice, and it gave us so much confidence. And I feel I had to say this because, you know, every now and then a husband needs a compliment too. So I hope the commissioner will pass that on to her husband.
Okay, I'll pass it to Jen.
Hi there, everybody. My name is Jen, and I am a mother of a person in MSOP. He's been there since 2015. He served a prison sentence of 1.5 years before that. And on the last day of his prison sentence, he was basically kidnapped by these people, brought to another facility for about 3 months until the court decided that he needed to be civilly committed. And I'm really appalled at the way that these people conduct themselves in our country, in America today in 2021. So I need to get my son out of there, and I hope that we all can come to some kind of constitutional liberation for our boys. And that's all I need to say right now.
Thanks, Jen. I'll pass it to Tracy. While you work on
There we go. I got it.
there you go.
Yeah, it wouldn't work. Hi, I'm Tracy McGuire. I am a former employee at MSOP as well. And after working there and seeing, I agree with what everybody said. And Jen, I agree with you. They do kidnap people and they throw away the key, and it's unimaginable. It's unbelievable, and that's why I'm here, is just to support this cause because it's unethical, it's immoral, it's wrong, it's unconstitutional, and it needs to end. We need to change the system and let those men out.
Thanks, Tracy. I'll pass it to Wari. Wari, are you there? Okay. Assume not. And Zada, do you want to introduce yourself or no? Okay. Cool. So let's pass it then to Representative Liebling and then Commissioner Harpstead. If you just want to briefly say your name, why you do the work you do, and your history or connection to MSOP.
Okay, so you want me to start first then, David?
Sure.
I can do that. Okay. First of all, thank you everyone for meeting. I'm glad that we're able to do this virtually. I really am. I appreciate the opportunity to meet with all of you. I just have one question though. I mean, Ms. McDonald, are you here as an attorney, or what exactly is your role? Because I know you are an attorney.
Yeah, let me see, let me start my video. No, I am not here as an attorney. And I want to make that clear. So I'm not representing anybody at MSOP. I'm part of this group, and I'm hearing a lot of the stories just like you're going to hear. So that's why I'm here. So that you know.
Okay, thank you.
And part of what I'd like to see happen too is this restorative circle work that I do. I'd like to see some of it happen in the facility. We just trained, we have 34 now trained restorative circle facilitators, and it's a different way of communicating that is very brings humanity into the situation. So
thanks,
Okay.
Michelle.
And then,
Liebling,
right.
if you want to go and just
Yeah.
about a
Thank
minute or
you.
two, maybe.
Yeah, so Tina Liebling, so I've been in the legislature for a little over 16 years now. And my background is I am a criminal defense lawyer. And I did that quite a few years, including doing criminal appeals. So I visit a lot of prisons and talked with tons of inmates, and kind of haven't done it for a while now, but have kind of known my way around that system. And then in the legislature, when there was the case in federal court, Judge Donovan had appointed a task force to in hopes that the state of Minnesota would change its laws. So I was not in the legislature when MSOP was started. I came in when it was already there. And so I was part of that task force, and the task force examined the law, what was going on in the system at the time, and actually came up with legislation to make some what would have been really important changes. And I carried that legislation. I was the sponsor of that legislation. And even what was at that time, with the federal court kind of breathing down the state's neck, saying, I may find that this is unconstitutional if you don't make some changes to it. And I was trying to use that as leverage to get the bill passed, and I was unable to get the bill passed. I worked very hard at it, and I have that experience behind me because the political dynamics around that are very difficult. But I do have some understanding. I have a lot of, certainly for you folks as family members, and how difficult it must be for you. I can only imagine how painful it must be. And that certainly my heart really goes out to all of you for that. But and so I appreciate the opportunity to hear from you. And just to understand that this is one of the most difficult issues in that we probably, as a legislator, that you encounter in your career, because it has so many different aspects to it, and it is very hard to make change, as you all know. So I hope we'll get to talk a little bit more about that. Thank you. And could I just ask too, there are some people who did not introduce themselves. Could we just know kind of who they are? Are they family members, or,
Yeah.
before we go any further?
Yeah, there's 2 family members and 1 person from IWOC.
Yes, I'm.
Oh, Jean, go.
Yes, I'm Jean Feeney. I'm the wife of Leo Feeney, and our son Matthew is at MSOP.
Thank you.
Great. Commissioner Harpstead, do you want to just briefly introduce yourself? Your name, why you do the work you do, and your history of connection to MSOP?
Yes, I'm Dodie Harpstead. I'm the Commissioner of the Department of Human Services. I've been there, as you probably know, for just over a year and about a quarter now. Before that, you may know that I spent 15 years at Lutheran Social Service of Minnesota. The last 8 as the CEO. I don't know if you know that Lutheran Social Service 40 years ago had a world famous teenage sex offender treatment program. And some of the leaders had left the organization, and the program had faded out before I arrived. But I have some knowledge about that. And of course, I've gotten to know our MSOP program as I've been commissioner and been engaged in conversations and presentations about it, and observe the process that we go through there. I've been to visit the Moose Lake facility and meet the staff, and walked around the facility to see how things were there. And in my the last few months, or maybe 6 months, I asked the vocational program at our St. Peter facility to make furniture for my office at the Anderson building in St. Paul with their logo on it, so I could explain to people what that is and where I got that, and how we are committed to the people that are there. So that's about all I guess I want to say right now. I'm here to listen. I'm glad I'm here to listen. I'm eager to hear your stories and hear your perspectives on how things are. And we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thanks, y'all. I think I'm now going to pass it to Ruby. I just wanted to again post the needs to end the hunger strike in the chat there. This is coming from the organizers of that hunger strike.
Yeah, so, and I think you touched on it a little bit about how in order for these guys to end their hunger strike, they would like to have some regular bi-weekly meetings that include the clients, our coalition, and decision makers to work collectively to start creating a plan that is actually a clear path home, and to establish like those meeting details and timelines. So I guess my question would be, is that something that can happen?
So are we into a part of the program here where it's question and answer? Is that kind of David, are you moderating?
So me and Ruby are facilitating, and that's the core concern from the hunger strikers is to be able to establish an ongoing process of meetings, such that we're not going to solve this in one meeting. So what they want is a commitment to participate in ongoing conversations where the key stakeholders can be at the table. And there's a ton of details and a ton of things that need to be figured out, and there's a mountain of pain and changes that need to happen. But when we talked last night, that was the core thing they thought was most important, and what they asked us to bring to the two of you, Representative Lieberman and Commissioner Harpstead. So.
Well, let me just say that, I mean, the commission will have to, I have no sort of administrative responsibility or ability over what goes on in the facility. I mean, you all probably understand that, but just from the point of view of my understanding about how the program works, when you say, people want a clear path home, and I understand that this is one of the hard things about this kind of thing is that you don't have a sentence of conviction. You don't have a date of release to look forward to that you know is coming. And that must make this terribly difficult for the families as well as for the men. I know that. But I also know that this program is set up under the law of Minnesota. And there is a way that people get in and a way that they get out. And the commissioner is not in charge of how they get out. I mean, there is some impact by the program, obviously, and the, you know, the treatment and the path and all of that. But, you know, I think that what you're proposing, and this is just, you know, my thought, you know, again, I don't have any control over the program or ability to make that happen at all. But I think it would be kind of difficult if we're talking about individual men. I mean, if there are complaints about the facility is one thing. But if people want a path through their own, each person with their own case, how do I get to the point where I can be released? That doesn't seem to me to be a conversation that would be done collectively. That's a conversation that has to be done individually because that's the way the program is set up. What am I missing here? Go ahead, please.
Can we maybe, let's pass this to the commissioner.
I understood that Representative Liebling had set up a listening session for tonight, and I agreed to join her and to listen to you. I'm not going to be able to make a commitment to you tonight about your request. So I'm here to listen to it and understand where you're all coming from. We would have to talk to a lot of other key people to make a decision about this.
Okay, it is day 13 of the hunger strike. So that's, as you can imagine, why that's the first thing that comes to our minds, Commissioner. And we know that there's ITV capabilities in the facility. So it is possible to do video meetings from the facility. There's already been meetings between the director of facilities and the director of treatment with the men. But their feeling is that if there's not outside witnesses in that meetings, that they can just be lied to their face and have nothing change, which there is a history of.
Yes.
So that's why we're centering this, because this is by far the most urgent thing on the table right now. So I don't know if you want to speak more about who you would have to talk to or how long that might take. I'll pass it back to the commissioner with that.
I'd rather listen to you tonight and make sure I understand where you're all coming from.
Well, my son is on.
Can I just chime in here? I just want to say, I just want to chime in here because Ruby's request, I don't know if it landed, you know, on it, if they actually heard what she's asking. I thought it was a pretty simple request. So Ruby, can you say it again, what you're asking? Because, yeah, so that we know what it is exactly. And maybe Jody and team can understand what you're asking. Because I think they're seeing it bigger than what it really is.
Right. So, you know, like David said, these guys are on day 13 of their hunger strike. And in order for us to end that hunger strike, one of the things that we really need to get into place is a regular biweekly meeting that includes clients, our coalition, and decision makers. So the people that could help revamp the system, or what do we have to do so that there's a clear path home, because there is not
get their psychiatric assessments. Are they going to get their licensed independent psychiatric assessments? That's number one that I want to know.
That what now?
Can you not interrupt, Jen? Can you let Ruby finish and get back to them?
Sure, but I would like to know if a licensed psychiatrist is going to be in the meetings that you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll have that or not yet. That's what we're kind of working on there too. So, but like I said, our biggest concern is these guys are on day 13 of this hunger strike. We need to know who are the decision makers that would be needed for this, and willing to meet biweekly with our clients and the coalition, to really work together to create a way so that this program works correctly, because you can't tell me that it works correctly when we've only gotten 13 people released in 27 years.
Can we pass that back to the commissioner? And then I see your hand, Mary. Let's let the commissioner speak, and if not, we'll pass it to you. If other people want to speak, raise your hand or put your name in the chat, and I'll keep stack. Commissioner?
Just listening. Thank you.
And, you know, I like to just jump in here too, because when we had that task force that I was on and when I carried that bill, at that point, I believe that the number of men who'd been released from MSOP was 0. So when you talk about only 13 have been released in the, 27 years, it doesn't give a really accurate picture. Now, I'm not saying that things are wonderful there or that the program's okay, but I think we have to put it in a little bit of perspective. It's 13 people in, 5 years? Or I've forgotten exactly when the task force occurred. But, you know, just to say, Judge Donovan found the program to be unconstitutional, but the Court of Appeals overturned that. So, you know, under the law right now, from my understanding, is that the courts consider the program to be constitutional. And what concerns me, and I've talked to David a little bit about this, you know, from my experience going forward, from my experience trying to make changes, legal changes to the program that would be more fair, that would, you know, give a clearer path out, that would, you know, make it less likely for men to be in the program in the first place. That we have a significant risk of creating a backlash, because all of us sitting here can talk about, you know, each of you know your loved one as an individual person. You're not afraid of him. But, you know, when this becomes a public conversation, it's very triggering for a lot of people. And I have been on the receiving end of a lot of that. And I know that there can be a tremendous pushback to the idea of people getting out. Now, I haven't been tracking this for a while, and I didn't know that 13 men had actually been released. And I don't think the public is fully aware that 13 men have been released. And I think we want to be very careful. And that's part of the reason I'm nervous about having press and all that, because what we don't want, the public could very well say, oh my God, 13 of these really dangerous men have been released. So, you know, I hear you, but I just want us to be really careful about how we talk about it and how we proceed. And the last thing that any of us would want is to slow or stop that pipeline of releases. So, you know, I just want to put that on the table as we're talking about this. And when you say only 13 in 27 years, I think it does sort of, it fails to give credit to the fact that some men have gotten out in spite of tremendous public opposition that can occur, you know, and I just have really seen it.
So Mary's on stack. I see Leo's hand as well.
I believe there's not only, I've done a lot of research. I believe there's not only legal concerns, there's programming concerns and legal concerns and there's many facets to this where things kind of have to be looked at by different committees and such. But right now, our biggest concern, and that can be done, I think. We can break up into groups and talk about those things. But right now, my son hasn't eaten for 12 days. And we can do it your way if you would just help us, because this, along with these procedures and laws that are not working, neither is the place. The attitude is very low. very disheartening, and they mean it. They really want to change. There's one guy that doesn't plan on eating again unless he sees something happen. We need some kind of promise. You can't let these guys die in there.
So Miss Cheryl, and then we go Feeney, and then Philip.
Yes, I was agreeing with the individual. Each person there should be individually psychoanalyzed by a psychologist. And I've been looking for a psychologist. Every time I mention MSOP, they tell me they can't help me. And I think that's so wrong. I mean, I've just been calling just different psychologists all over, and I have not gotten any help. And my son has been there for 12 years, like I said, and he was only supposed to be there for a class, and that class for 18 months has turned into be 12 years.
Thank you, Miss Cheryl. Leo Feeney, and then Philip, and then me. You got to unmute.
Oh, David?
Can you hear him now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
I would just reference Representative Lieberling's comments on the task force. The task force was in 2012 and 2013. It was chaired by former Supreme Court Chief Justice Eric Magnuson. And I know in 2013 alone, there were 20 meetings. There were a lot of very impressive people there. And I can say this, that if one were to read Judge Magnuson's report, it would be clear, it would be undisputed, we need to do something because this is wrong. That's clear in his report. And they, in many times, even at the meetings, and Representative Lieberling must remember there's people saying, this was a big problem. It's an easy way in and a difficult way out. And I recommend the commissioner, please read that task force report. That will give you such a feel for what needs to be done. And maybe Representative Lieberling remembers one of their big recommendations was, well, better screening, but less restrictive facilities. They pushed that hard. The state has done nothing in that regard, absolutely zero. In fact, there's really been no response to the task force report. Judge Frank has that, was responsible for the yearly review, but from what I can tell, that thing is a failure. One other thing I would add is this. I still work. I'm 84 years old. I work every day. From morning to night. I got home tonight. It's 6 o'clock, just in time for the meeting. And I take calls from people at MSOP. They call them clients, but they're really prisoners. I take calls from them. I never refuse to take a call, ever. And I do that because someone needs to take calls from these people. And it's just inhumane, I hate to say that, that they have such a terrible feeling of hopelessness, such a terrible feeling of there's no way out. I'm here. When you hear someone say, I'm here for the rest of my life, I can't get out of this place. At night, I wake up in the middle of the night and I say, geez, I'm in a nice bed. I'm in a nice home. I'm in a nice neighborhood. And this guy is up there in that terrible place with no hope of getting out. And I'm just begging Representative Lieberman and the commissioner, don't give up on this, please. I know, Representative, I know how much work you've done, but please stay with us. Don't give up. We've got to change this situation. Thank you.
Amen.
Philip, and then myself.
Well, my comments have to do with what the representative said about basically we have information that could be potentially false or misleading. And that's why I wanted to implore the commissioner to at least speak so we can all understand each other. A conversation should be reciprocal and open and transparent. All of us should participate so we can all learn from each other. If we all came here to decide to be silent, I don't think we'd get anywhere. And so that's just basically what I wanted to say. I don't understand the silence. We should all be engaged in this process if we're going to be serious about it. And that's all I have to say.
Commissioner, do you want to respond to that at all?
Just to say that I agreed to be here tonight so that I could hear you and can hear your perspectives and listen to stories about MSOP from where you are. I can talk to staff, I can visit, but I really wanted to hear the stories from your perspective. And so I'm listening and learning tonight, not trying to tell you my opinion, not trying to talk you out of yours. I just really want to listen and absorb what you have to say to hear a different perspective on that program.
So everything we're saying tonight is new to you. You've never heard any of these stories before?
Not from your perspective, not from families.
So Commissioner, I have been involved with MSOP, both facilities over the course of the last 7 years. I have met with people at both facilities. And I've sat in the CAP hearings, used to be SCAP hearings. The problem is these people, these are human beings, these are God's children. Sex offender is a terrible term. It's meant to bring fear into the hearts of people. And that's the way it's framed. That's the way it keeps people at bay. And the sad part about it is these folks within the walls of MSOP, Moose Lake and St. Peter do not have fair representation or reasonable and fair evaluation. The state has the upper hand. You represent the state. You work for the governor, and the state has the upper hand. The state has decided to keep these people prisoners. There are people that have been there for the length of the program, 27 plus years. They've already served their jail time. These are human beings who deserve a fair opportunity to really be evaluated. I have been inside of the walls of both of those places. I have never been afraid of the people that are held there. I've been more afraid of the people that run it.
Yes. Amen.
Ruby, do you want to speak to the treatment as someone who's overseeing treatment there?
Yes, actually, I was just putting that in the chat box. So that's one of the things that I feel is something that goes very unnoticed by the public, is they are told that these guys are getting treatment in there, and it's not treatment. There's clinicians that work there that don't even have a psychology degree. They've never even taken sex offender treatment training. When I worked there, I was told by multiple supervisors that I absolutely had to lower scores on treatment annual and quarterly reports, because otherwise the clients would look too good and then they would have to be progressed and they didn't want to. They would, I mean, the guys that do the polygraph and the PPG both are absolute junk science and should not even be included as part of the process. They go by their entire criminal record, going back to juvenile. They go off of hearsay. They don't go off of what these guys are now, who they are now. They focus so much on just punitive stuff. I mean, one of the clients in there, as of right now, he was stabbed 6 times the other day by another client, and he is being punished because he fought back. So your chances, you die or you get in trouble. And kind of like Ben had put in the chat box, right now with the release rate, you have a 15% chance of being released and an 85% chance of being released by dying, because 86 people have already died in there. And I mean, I have multiple other examples. I have examples of the corruption that goes on in there. Some of that staff that work there, they are making so much money off of these clients because they're bringing them drugs, they're bringing them booze, they're bringing them porn. They can manipulate them. They treat them however they want. Like, they don't care. And because Moose Lake is so remote and nobody even knows it exists, they get away with it. The nepotism that goes on in the facility is insane. The favoritism that goes on, people get promoted because of who they're sleeping with, not because of their credentials. They're not looking for quality people, and they can't keep the quality people. So, and I don't want to take up too much time because there is I could go on forever with what's going on in there. So I think it's like, that's the biggest thing. These guys are starving themselves right now because the machine that is MSOP is so broken and nobody cares about them. And the more it's such a broken system. I mean, the facility is the facility, but it's such a broken and corrupt system. So that absolutely has to change.
Amen.
Tracy had her hand up, and then me.
Let me unmute. Am I unmute there?
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to what Ruby just said. As a witness there, seeing the treatment program, if they're not going to be released, why do they need treatment to the day they die?
Correct.
That doesn't even make
Yeah.
sense. It's
a good question.
And again, there is no pathway home. There is no, Ruby, you're right. When they start doing good, then they dock them or act like that they're just fooling the system. You know, that's not really who they are. So they never can get ahead. They never can graduate. There's no such thing. And there's continual punitive behavior that they use to hold them back. That's why you took a cracker or cookie from canteen or from lunch, and then now you've got a BER. Or changing rules for movies that they see. It's just a constant game. It's a constant abuse, power game, even with the masks. So we can't send them a good mask. They can only have one mask there, which I don't understand that rule. And now they even have them so they can buy one there for $3. That doesn't even make sense. Why can't the family send, if it comes from a company, a good quality mask? That's treated as contraband. That doesn't even make sense at all, that we're keeping them from protecting themselves and keeping themselves safe and everybody else safe. So they're just dying there. That's all they're doing. 13 release is not a treatment program. So the taxpayers are gonna pay for 740 men to have treatment for the rest of their lives until they die. We're gonna pay for that. Does that even make sense? Is that even humane? It's
$96 million this year for a bunch of guys to sit around.
Well, and talk about what they did over and over and over and over and over and over for the rest of their lives. to
And no
talk about.
future. No, nothing to look forward to. No hope. They need
And
hope. How can you
there's
live
only
without,
one woman in the program.
without a future? They need a future.
They can't be part of this. They can't, even too, MSOP separates them from their family. They can't right now they're not getting any visitors, and there's no way that they're even working on trying to solve that problem.
I haven't seen my son for a year and a half now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, again, thank you, Tracy, and everybody else who shared. We're on the 13th day of the hunger strike. We're spending $96 million a year on this. Anyone who's looked into this knows that this doesn't make sense. There's 30 states that don't even have programs like this because it doesn't make sense to have someone be convicted of a crime, do their time, and then hold them indefinitely. It doesn't make sense. I see your hand, Jen, 1 second. And Representative Liebling, we absolutely hear your concern about political blowback. We care about these people getting released, and we know they're human beings, so we absolutely care about the political consequences of how we engage. I think the question is really, can we engage together in some way such that we can advance this and end this human rights atrocity in this state? Or are we going to have to fight against people like the commissioner here who are not doing what they need to be doing as their duty in the state of Minnesota? So, we have a very simple ask from people who are 13 days without food to set up regular meetings so that people in the facility, their loved ones, and decision makers can figure out how to improve this program. It's clear that the program can be improved. As you said, 6 years ago or whatever, there was no releases. So it's clear that without any legal changes, that there can be some releases. It's also clear eventually legislation needs to be passed because the setup is horrible, but also it's clear that there's something that can be done in the meantime to help generate some of the hope so we don't have more hunger strikes or far worse things that could happen. So, Commissioner, I just want to bring you back to the very well thought out and very simple proposal from our loved ones in there. Is that something you can agree to, or under what? When can you let us know if that's happening or not?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can't commit to anything tonight, but I can get back to you in the next couple of days about what we can do.
Okay. Jen?
Yeah, I just want to remind you again, Commissioner, that our sons are on their 13th day of a hunger strike. And I also would like just a commitment, yes, I can work on this, because individually, each of these men need to be assessed so that so that the staff knows. And these staff also need to be reformed in this institution because from what I'm reading and seeing is that a lot of these staff are abusive. They're not certified. They don't have licenses. If you're making $96 million a year off of this program, you need to be putting some staff in there that are qualified to be taking care of our kids, our sons. They're not kids, but you know what I'm saying. And also, each man needs to be assessed by a licensed psychiatrist, because that's what the variance that you provided, that the commissioner of the Department of Human Services provides. The variance says that each individual be assessed by a licensed psychiatrist independent of Moose Lake once a year. You can give us that commitment right now today because it's in your variance.
Yes.
Thank you.
Did you want to respond to that, or Mary is next?
The policies are there, but they're not being exercised. It doesn't seem to me. I can't say that for sure. The program doesn't work. It's a mess. And meanwhile, my son hasn't eaten for 13 days and he's hungry. and we have to give them some kind of hope.
I just want to say, to Marcia, and all of those things you say could result from some meetings, but that's not what I understand is being requested right now. And we do have, if we could schedule some meetings and in Jody, whoever the people are that are the decision makers, you're saying you're not,
Then who is?
if you could let them know tomorrow that we have a meeting scheduled next Monday at 2:00 with decision makers to hear your stories. That's all it's going to take to stop the hunger strike, at least one meeting to start the process. So it's not a lot to ask. I don't think it can't wait 2 days, and it's just such a simple request. And I think that if you're not the decision maker or the representative isn't the decision maker, then just have somebody there that can listen and schedule it, and that'll stop the hunger strike, even one meeting. So we're talking about bi-weekly meetings. Can we just have one meeting to start the bi-weekly meetings?
To be clear, the request is regular meetings.
Right.
I think they'd be willing to negotiate from biweekly to monthly, but there needs to be an establishment of a set of meetings, because it's not going to be solved in one meeting. It's like you're not going to get all the information.
So
I know,
let me
and that's,
ask-
really, I'm sorry, I just want to say, I know it is, but we have to be a little more specific. And if their answer is, okay, we'll do bi-weekly meetings, that's too vague for everybody. So if we could start with one meeting and say, we'll do our best to make it every 2 weeks, that's great. That's all that's going to be needed to do the hunger strike. We don't even know, at this point, who the decision makers are. But to have a meeting like this,
we know who they
with
are.
the people that are inside that have no means of communication. They can't talk for more than, you can't leave them a message for more than 15 seconds. And when they call, you have to be available, and they only can talk for, 15 minutes or something like that. And they have to pay for the call, so they don't have a lot of communication. So just something as simple as, okay, we will schedule a meeting, tomorrow we'll schedule something 2 weeks from now, and then 2 weeks from then would be an end to this hunger strike. And that's to me it is something that that's a simple request to get things started.
So my question to all of you is, so I don't know exactly how many men are on hunger strike right now. Somebody said 12, was it? What's the number? Does anybody know?
13, 14.
13, 14. So there were 740 men? How many people?
435.
At Moose Lake. Okay. So, do any of you have a concern that if a person goes on hunger strike and then they make a demand and then their demand is met, and then next week we have a new hunger strike by a new person because they said, aha, you got something for going on hunger strike. I mean, do any of you have a concern that this may foster more hunger strikes?
Representative, why would anybody go on a hunger strike?
Because
it doesn't make sense. It's not even logical.
Well, why are they on hunger strike then?
Because they don't want to die in there, right? And so the goal is to not die in there and to create a process where they know they won't die in there. And so I don't think you need to worry if there's a process being created that can generate some hope. And trust us, this is just the beginning of our work. We literally have had this is our third meeting. Like we are coming on this, and there's many more of us. So like this is just the beginning of this. So we need to create a path where there's hope. And let's not play what ifs that are not likely problems on this.
Well, I'm not suggesting that we don't create hope, because honestly, I hear you. I think, and personally, I think, I'm thinking about, ways that I can impact the situation. Oh, but they're not going to be immediate ways.
And
I don't think
I'm very concerned, and I'm sincerely asking all of you the question whether you wouldn't be concerned. I get that in a way a hunger strike doesn't make sense, but surely more people are feeling this lack of hope than just the number who are on hunger strike. And
absolutely, and it's not just about, if you guys agree to meet, bi-weekly or tomorrow and say, okay, we'll schedule a meeting for this, there's not going to be another group of people that says, oh, well, these guys went on a hunger strike and they got what they wanted. Well, I want cookies. No, I want chips. Let's go on a hunger strike about that. That's not going to happen. And
They all had the opportunity
we do
to-
hold our men accountable for their behavior and their actions, whether it's right or wrong. We hold them accountable.
So
They're just asking for a basic right to have a pathway out of there. That doesn't seem unreasonable. And they're willing to suffer themselves to get the attention to do this. This is serious. They are down there and they have no hope.
So everybody, I think we've given a very clear request. The commissioner has said that can get back to us in 2 days. I would hope we could hear by tomorrow evening, given the circumstances. Are there any last thoughts that people want to share? Also, to speak to you, Representative Liebling, you mentioned before the possibility of a hearing in a couple months. I think that's still an excellent idea.
Well, let me just be clear about it. I would like to have a hearing because I think that, you are all right, that you're correct, that, this gets out of sight and out of mind. And whoever was talking about the remoteness and, people would, and I mean, let's face it, the same phenomenon happens with prisons, right? It's exactly the same thing. Oh, they're gone. We don't need to worry about them anymore. I think it is really important for legislators to know about this, to understand it. And I think it's tremendous to try to bring what all of you are doing. I really do. I really applaud you for, sharing your stories. I think it's great for the commissioner. I know she came into this not knowing really much at all about MSOP. And I think it's great that she's able to hear some of the specific concerns that some of you have voiced. I think that's tremendous that you've done that. But I would have a hearing probably after the legislative session because there just isn't a time and opportunity. But, I would like to have just a good oversight hearing where we would be talking about the history, comparing to other states, talking about the task force, some of the issues, the questions that you're all raising, I think are really valid questions. They were valid when the task force met. They were valid when I tried to pass a bill to change some of this, and they're still valid. They're even, but I think what I would not be able to do is have it connected to the hunger strike, because I am concerned that if 13 or 15 or 20 people are doing it now, and they say, oh, this is good, we got attention, we got the state to do this, or I don't want it connected to that. So I don't want to be rewarding the hunger strike. So I would only consider doing that if the hunger strike is over. Certainly, God willing, it'll be over by then, and nobody will be hunger striking to get attention. And I'm sorry I totally understand why they would feel they needed to do that. I totally understand. It's a true act of desperation.
Mhm.
But you all as family members, I hope you can communicate that they have gotten attention and they need to, I don't know what the commissioner is going to be able to come back with or not. That's, her and the department, but, they've gotten my attention. But we're not going to be able to do something right away that's going to be like a direct kind of response to it, at least on my end.
So we hear you, Representative, and I think there's a lot to figure out about what would make such a hearing effective. So I think it makes sense to do that in some time. I think also you're not the one who oversees the facilities that they live
Right.
in.
Sure,
And
certainly.
and obviously no one can not eat
The
for 3
commissioner
months
is.
and live. So I think again it brings it's a very simple request of the commissioner again, to set up a meeting with folks in there, with folks out here, and with decision makers. It's well within the capabilities of the technology of the site, and it clearly will result in people not dying, which I think all of us would very, very strongly prefer, and would certainly create a different type of situation if someone were to die. And I don't know I don't know what would happen in that situation. Jen, I see your hand. Did you want to say something quick?
I just wanted to say that as a treatment facility, the MSOP is held to certain guidelines. I'm sure you're aware, Commissioner. These guidelines are, in legal terminology, bound to keep these men healthy, and MSOP is failing in that. So that in and of itself is a lawsuit. I know that all of the legislators and all of the lawmakers and decision makers know what MSOP is. You're not pulling the wool over my eyes or anybody else's that are here. So make the right decision. Thank you.
Representative and Commissioner, this is Father Harry. And just so you know, during COVID, I had to report MSOP, especially Moose Lake, to the Department of Health because they weren't even following their own guidelines to protect these people. And when that is the case, when we have a pandemic and a facility such as MSOP cannot protect those people and take the proper steps, it's pretty sad that somebody has to go to the health department.
So sad.
Any other last thoughts or messages that people want to communicate? Or Commissioner, if you have anything you want to say?
I saw Ben's hand up.
Yeah, I see Ben as well. Ben, do you want to go?
Yeah, I'll try quick. I just want to make sure we're not that we can see the forest through the trees. The biggest issue at MSOP is rampant corruption. So if we want bullet points, I think these are very important. There is sexual misconduct by staff. That has to stop. That is not allowable. There is financial misconduct by staff. That is also not acceptable. There is fraudulent record keeping. They're cooking the books, and they are denying medical care. There are people with mental disabilities that are not being treated, and it's overflowing into violence inside the facility. That has to stop. That's it. I'll pass to whoever wants to talk.
Thank you, Ben.
My turn. Oh. They also don't get medical care as they should. They don't get any attention at all. They call for an emergency and it takes 20, 30 minutes for them to get to them or for the guards to get down there. They're so just disregarded in every way. Even in the treatment sessions, they don't teach about empathy. They don't teach about dating or anything like that. It's all about the past, and there is no future kind of changes being made for their future, I should say. And how do you live like that? Nobody could. And I understand. I've got daughters. We all want to protect our daughters as well, or whatever out there. I mean, we know but I guarantee you, I don't think anybody's going to mess up and take the chance of going back to that a horrible place once they're out.
Right.
I'm just so pleased that Jody's here and Tina's here, and it does sounds like a really simple request, like, okay, let's schedule a couple of meetings and it will end the hunger strike, but it's just the beginning of the dialogue that could lead to some great change, some of these concerns of the family members. So that is the simple request, without fear. Just, if tomorrow you could go into your office, schedule 2 meetings, get back to Dan and say, hey, we got the first 2 scheduled, this could end. And, and the dialogue could begin and we could start a restorative circle relating to these matters.
Amen.
Restorative justice too.
Any last thoughts that people want to share before we get off here? Tiffany?
Yes, I just want to point out that I participate in a national phone conference about sex offender civil commitment. So it's all the states that have commitment programs, and they often refer to Minnesota as having the worst program out of all of them in terms of the detention and release rates. I just want to point that out that, other states do have it, but they all also look at us as the worst. So I think things really need to change.
We can do better.
And we also have the highest per capita commitment rate by far, tremendously above any other state. Only California has more detainees, and it's barely more, and they have 5 times our population. Other last thoughts?
They also don't give them a trial.
Like Tracy, then Jen.
Okay. I was just gonna say, they also, to the way they commit them is like you said, kidnapping. There's no trial or hearing really for the commitment. It's the county decides, prosecuting attorney decides, end of story.
Thank you.
Then it's a change.
Jen?
And I know this is unrelated, but the Department of Human Services also has a whole lot of other things under their belt. And I know this is further on down the road, but like I was thinking possibly the Department of Human Services might have bit off more than they can chew and might need a little help. Also, there's like 168 meetings in between 2014 and 2019, or I'm sorry, 268 meetings in that time period where absolutely nothing was done to reintegrate anyone, but you had a whole lot of meetings. And I wonder if meetings are really going to be going towards the answer that we're all asking for. When you say, let's have some meetings, you know what that means to my head? That means you're not doing anything.
Exactly.
So I would like to hear
action.
more.
Mm-hmm.
We need action.
Mm-hmm.
We need to survive.
Any other last thoughts, and then we can hand it to the commissioner, and then we can get out of here.
David,
Oh, go ahead.
Leo Feeney, I would just make this the facts. Okay, if we look at the facts, just the facts, undisputed facts, Minnesota does not believe or encourage graduating people. That's a fact. Compare Minnesota with Massachusetts. Massachusetts graduates people. They pride themselves on it. Massachusetts, the therapist starts their program saying, look, guys, if I can give up smoking, damn it, you can change and you can get out of here. Now, we don't have that philosophy in Minnesota. In Minnesota, the people you call clients, I call them prison, they're being undermined all the time. The people up there, they want these men to fail. They don't want them to get out. Now, as a human being, if that doesn't bother you, something's wrong. That's all I got to say.
Sarah?
I just wanted to let our guests know that I not only have a brother that's been in MSOP for 11 years, but I'm also a rape survivor, a kidnapping survivor. So, I'm not naive to, I'm not just thinking, oh, well, my brother, he was just this kid when he went in this place and now he's this man, and thinking, oh, he's my family member, let him out. He's not going to do anything wrong. I get the other side too. I really get it. And I would still, of all of the the damaging, traumatic things that have been done to me, I would never wish a life sentence on any of my perpetrators. And I don't wish a life sentence for any of these men. And if they're so dangerous that they shouldn't ever be out in society again, that should be decided by a judge, a jury. There should be, psychologists involved, that decide, if how dangerous they are.
Okay.
I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
I think it's about time to go. Commissioner, we hope to hear from you tomorrow. You said you'd get us back in 2 days, so at least meet that, but tomorrow would be better. Do you have any final thoughts you want to share before we get out of here?
Yes, I want to acknowledge you setting up this meeting so I could really listen to you. I appreciate it. I appreciate the time we've spent together tonight. I've heard everything that you've had to say. I've taken notes. I'm listening and taking it in. So thank you for this meeting. I appreciate this venue instead of my front doorstep to be able to talk with you and really, really listen. I appreciate that just before the meeting started, there were questions about how this meeting was going to go. And I want to acknowledge you all for agreeing to just talk with us, just your group and Representative Liebling and I. And I appreciate you making those adjustments so that we could just talk this way. It would have been much more difficult and fraught with all kinds of issues if we'd had all kinds of other people here and the press here. So thank you very much for agreeing to just talk. I'm sorry if you thought I was going to come in here and say all kinds of things and commit to all kinds of things. I need to go back and check with people and talk about what we can do to have you be heard and to have the men in the facility be heard. And so I need to go back and think about how that goes, talk to some people and get back to you as soon as we can to see what it is that we can do to end this hunger strike. So thank you again for your time tonight. I really have heard and absorbed everything that you've said. And I've heard all kinds of new information about our services there and our facility. And I need to process all of that and check it out and then get back to you about what we can do for a meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you for meeting with us. Time will tell what happens. Be in touch. Have a good night, everyone.